Hey guys, I hope this message finds you well. I hope you guys are staying home, staying healthy and safe, and it's gonna pass. And I really hope it hasn't really affected you in a tragic way. And if it has, I send all the positive energy, vibes, and going to you and your families right now. But thank you for continuing to listen to the podcast. And if you want to share it instead of sharing germs, just go ahead and click that button. It's about growing as a person. Your best is completely unique to you. Hey everyone, welcome back to an episode of Fuck Perfect. I'm here with the incredible Jonas Black. He is, how to really introduce you. You're obviously an incredible dog trainer. That's how we kind of stumbled upon each other. But after getting to know you, I feel like you have so much wisdom in a lot of other areas, and you have a hell of a story. So thank you for being on the show, Jonas.
Well, thank you for having me first and foremost. I think it's fucking crazy when people want to talk to me. I'm still like weirded out by it all the time. And like just the fact that, just the story that I carry, I'm not supposed to be where I'm at, and it's just amazing. So thank you for that acknowledgement. Thanks for having me on. It's a huge honor.
Thanks. And so a lot of people obviously don't probably know who you are more than me, but if you want to just kind of share a cherry picked version of your story, of your life, of your journey, how you got to here. You said you really shouldn't be here. Like, you're not supposed to be here. Like, what is that about?
I think it's just in the type of lifestyle that I grew up in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was born in Germany, to not like a very well off family. Like we weren't poor or anything, but like my mom and I, we shared like a studio. I was given up by my biological father. I was adopted by an American GI and moved to the United States. Got a really bad stutter. Started working at a zoo. Learned wolf behavior from one of the really best zoo directors in this country by the name of Steve Deal. And then from there, my dad went overseas a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and he was gone half the time. Watched my mom struggle as an immigrant woman, and actually like just fucking achieved the American dream in her own right by working hard and set an incredible example. But I say that I'm not supposed to be where I am because the choices that I made for so long were absolutely horrifying to most people in my life. I said fuck fitness for a very long time. I said, I didn't care about education or grades or anything of that matter. Joined a punk rock band, and most people who have, the moniker of failed musician underneath them, they're normally not any type of success story.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fortunate enough to be able to use the hustle that I learned being in a punk rock band and being a complete asshole for my whole youth, to turn it legitimate and utilize a skill that I was developing my whole life, which was training dogs. So with that, I turned myself into Austin, Texas as #1 dog trainer. And I did it through shameless self-promotion.
Now I knew you lived in Tucson for a while, right?
Yes, sir.
And how long were you there for?
Shit. I was there from senior year to about 27. So 10 years, about 10, 11, 12 years, something like that.
And what was that time frame? Was that like 2000 what?
Like 2002 to 2012 ish, about.
Okay. And then what made you choose Austin?
Our band van broke down.
That's fucking life happening for you.
Our fucking transmission went out, and like we were like, well, I guess we're staying.
That's
So
crazy.
I actually moved to Austin with one pair of jeans and 2 shirts. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's pretty rad, and to the growth that has happened
it's
right since then.
it's pretty it's humbling the amount of um, surprising that I was able to do towards myself. How much I surprised myself was,
Mm-hmm.
it's still humbling. And like, there's one thing that I don't take for granted. It's my own work ethic. It's the fact that like I'm the asshole that'll get into a fight like on
Mm-hmm.
E6, but you're gonna have to kill me to keep me down. And that's the way that I live my entire life. It's You can come at me as hard as you want, but if you want me to stay down, you're going to have to put me down. And I just have
Yeah.
this like this crazy drive, and like I can honestly say that I'm not afraid of a lot of things. And not being afraid of a lot of things, conquering fear, is one of those things that's like, when you don't acknowledge fear, everything opens up, because fear is really just a derivative of anxiety, which is like,
Mm-hmm.
an uncertainty of the future at that point. Once you realize that the future is a made up concept and that it doesn't fucking matter, like that, you'll never get to the future. Like
Right. Yeah. The future's always later, right?
you'll
You're
never
always in the
get to the
now.
future, man. Like it's cool. So stop fucking worrying about it. Like, you're good right now. Everything's good. Be courageous. Be brave. Be the best person that you can be.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I believe in being a good man. I know that a lot of people are like, well, what do you consider a good man? Like, is that right?
Right.
It's like, shut up. Like,
Right.
just,
Exactly.
like,
Don't
just
define it.
yeah,
Let it
like,
be.
just let me have my fucking stupid statement, and you can think in your head person, right? Like,
Yeah. Right.
like,
Right.
just let me have that. Let me have that. Like, I want to be a good man. Well, what do you define as a good man? Doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. What's interesting about you that I've always noticed is obviously your work ethic. Anytime that I'm on Instagram, it's like, oh man, Jonas has got like 5 new things going on right now. Like, I gotta check them out. You're always like having some kind of like epic truth bomb going. But one of the things that uh, really shows how much of an expert you have, how much confidence you have, how much fear you don't have, is when I know there's a kind of sometimes there's controversy to
A lot of
how
controversy.
you operate, right?
Absolutely.
And it reminds me of like things that I'm starting to pick up on now, and I'm like, wow, this is shit that Jonas has been dealing with. It's like when you actually speak to things that are almost factual and simple, and try to change people's perception. Like, look, you have a really bad perception of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You have no idea what's actually happening. And then you say, yeah, I've heard you say this many times, you try to get people to talk with you. Like, you try to have the conversation. Hey, come on, talk to me.
Oh,
Let's talk about it. But typically, what I found is, say, in the health and fitness kind of field, is the people that don't have those conversations are usually selling something.
yeah. I
They're
think
like,
so.
granted, I know that we both are selling something too,
Sure.
but it's like, we're not selling a magic trick.
No.
We're
No.
saying, well, if you do it this way, that's the way you get results.
Absolutely.
Then they want to argue with you, like, well, are you just saying that your way's better? Like, let's talk about this, right?
Like if you gave me, like, if you showed me your abs and you were like,
Yeah.
I built my abs this way, I'm not gonna be like, no, you didn't. You know what I mean? Like,
Those aren't abs.
I'm not gonna. That doesn't work. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's fucking stupid because you have abs.
Yeah.
So for the listeners who don't know what I do, I'm a balanced approach dog trainer, which means is that I don't just believe in positive reinforcement. I
Hmm.
believe in punishment on dogs as well. And then people go, oh my God, he's an abuser. And it's like, no, I'm not. Because
Yeah.
punishment from a definitive standpoint just means something to stop a behavior. That's all it is. I don't hurt dogs. I'm not in the business of hurting dogs. And because I'm so open about the tools that I use
Yeah.
and trying to rework things into a more simplistic format that makes it easy to understand for a blue collar Joe,
Yeah.
a blue collar Joe can sit down with me. I'm not pretentious. I'm going to give it to them exactly straight and exactly how they need to hear it in order to process and
Hmm.
understand. And that's what scares other people in my industry, because they'll sit there and they're like, oh, the quadrants of operant conditioning and blah, 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 blah. It's like, shut the fuck up. No one cares,
Hmm.
right? Like, no one fucking cares. Now, some clients do, and they want to know the ifs, ands, whys, where's, hows, right? And I love explaining it. But at the end of the day, when you sent your dog to me, you wanted a dog that didn't pull on a fucking leash anymore,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That's it. So, and which is, she's one of my favorite dogs. She's she's a, she's such a sweet girl. But that's like, at the end of everything, people want results and return on investment, right? So I want to simplify it as much as possible for them.
Hmm.
And with that comes a lot of, I step on a lot of people's toes, because I say it, dog training is not hard. I
Hmm.
say it straight up. It's not hard, the same way that losing weight is not hard in principle.
Right. Right.
Calories in, calories out, thermodynamics, right? That's basically like where we're at. I mean, from like the ground point, you talk about macros and all that shit
Sure.
too. But at the end of the day, I think it's calories in, calories out. That's the way you're going to lose weight. That's the way you're going to gain weight. And so, and correct me if I'm wrong because you're much more knowledgeable on this.
No,
Um,
you're absolutely right.
but I think people try to overcomplicate things, and you see it in fitness all the time. And there's a direct correlation to the fitness industry, the same way to the dog training industry. People sell quick fixes.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And,
and the thing is like if and that's how quick fixes sell.
right,
When the dog owner or when the person who wants to lose weight, when they're not the problem, when they can like sidestep responsibility, like, oh, it's not my consistency that's the fucking problem. It's that I didn't buy the right thing
right,
because I don't want to work for this shit.
right, right.
And
It, it's not the package of Oreos that I ate last night that spiked my insulin, right?
no, of
No,
course not.
it could never be that at all.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell, and it's the same with dogs, right? It's like, no, it could never be that you overlove your dog and that the dog is a spoiled asshole.
Yeah. And you allow him to break all the rules, he or she break all the rules and do whatever the hell they want.
Exactly. And then the dog bites, and people go, well, why is he biting? And it's like, because he's got no boundaries, but I don't want
Well,
to be mean.
man, I might be speaking so I might be pissing off people, but it's fine. Um, the correlation between say dog owning and parenting, like actual parenting kids, right? You see the rise in, man, I'm gonna get blasted for this, but you see a rise in like ADHD and things of that nature. And I'm not saying all cases are illegitimate, but I'm saying like these kids have at the same time these cases have risen in like the mid 90s and higher because parents that say, hey, go play. It used to be go play outside. When we
Yeah.
were growing up, it was a mix of play outside or play inside. Now, predominantly go play means go play something inside, right?
Get on your
You,
screen.
now you think of a kid who's hyper, who is just you're like, oh wait, if I don't walk my dog, if I don't go play with my dog, go for a walk outside, my dog's fucking hyper. So,
Well, you can chalk it down to central nervous system stimulation,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
So, like, if the child, for instance, is getting consistently stimulated in front of a tablet, and the CNS is being worked, but the physicality isn't being worked,
sure,
of course, that kid becomes mentally tired, but still has all this physical energy. So, of course, there's going to be some shit that happens there. It's the same thing with the dog. Now, while you and I can't be assholes if we don't get to go to the gym, right? We can't just
yeah.
crunch on exercise to be good people. That's unsustainable. But it's the same with dogs. If we're always stimulating a dog over and over and over, but we don't give the dog ample exercise of the brain and of the
Mm-hmm.
body, they're going to develop a fuck ton of anxiety because their genetics can't be superseded by rationale and reason like ours can a lot of the time.
Sure.
So we can't sit down to our dog. We can't sit down with our dogs and go, look, you don't need to be anxious right now, right? Our
Right.
dog responds physiologically because anxiety is a psychological and a physiological response in all beings that experience.
That's a really good insight actually, like the about that, and the parallel between kids too. And it's also when you are, and it's not just, and the benefit of walking the dog, as I've learned from you, it's not just a physical activity. uh you're building a connection, right?
Absolutely.
And that's the other piece. I mean, this is gonna be great. Dog trainer talks about parenting tactics. It's like
Put a
uh
prong collar on your child.
exactly. It might work, but well, it should. But the idea is like you're actually building the connection, that relationship with the person that's the life that's depending on you, right? And we're so hands off. Like, hey, I'm on my phone. Hey, just go. I'm like, I have this technology addiction or this I don't know, distraction addiction, right?
Right.
Where I'm not. We're so connected, but we're not. We don't have the weight of connection anymore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's totally fucked up, right?
Yeah.
It's totally fucked up to a degree to where I think that we're actually crutching on a lot. And this plays into dog ownership. So many people are reliant on dog parks to get their like
Sure.
socialization in, and it's like dog parks are the number one cause of dog bites in the country, right?
Right.
You really think that taking your dog to a dog park is for the fucking dog? No, it's for you.
For your ego.
so you can
And
get some
then
kind of fellowship.
no, it's like this. It's like, oh, let's see. Oh, I'm at a dog park. Look at me and Fido. I'm being a good dog owner.
Look at me snapping at a dog park right
Yeah.
now. I'm a good ass dog owner. Like in the background, their dog's getting chased by like fucking 4 dogs, and their dominance playing, and it's complete canine chaos. You know, it's just no one's structured at all, and I'm getting anxiety eating Xanax in the corner. You know, just like, oh
Yeah,
god.
yeah. It's similar to parenting, where it's like I talked about this before a couple episodes, 8 episodes ago, about social proof parenting. Like you feel like your people are only good parents in their pictures that they post on social media, and that's all they're going for.
Sure.
Because they're like, oh, my friends to know I do this with my kids, but in reality, I'm like, no.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure. Bullshit relationships too, right? All those
yeah,
people that only post the good in their relationship, like in my opinion, like relationships and things of that nature on social media now, what I've learned is that they're best kept private but not secret. You know what I mean? Like it's
absolutely.
more of a private thing as opposed to a secret thing. You saw this where in my last relationship I was very social media about it. I was
Hmm.
everything we did, Puerto Rico, all the trips we
Yeah,
went on, all this shit. And then when she left me, I looked like an idiot. You know, like and I mean, but that was my fault, you know. So
hmm,
I subscribe to something called extreme accountability, where I think that everything that happens to me and
hmm.
everything that happens in my life is my fucking fault. And that and
Yep.
that and that's not, people go, "Oh my god, that's so sad." I'm like, "No, it's liberating." Because then
You're not the victim.
you start to realize you have control over every aspect of your life if you
Right.
understand that you're the cause of it. So
Absolutely.
it's so neat. It's such a neat concept. Everything's my fault, good and bad.
You know,
So
it's interesting. And 2 years ago, my don't be sad about this. I mean, it is sad, but my mom passed away 2 years ago.
super.
And I was looking at like this book, and I was reading this book by Louise Hay, and she's like, man, everything, just what you said. Everything's your fault. You're in a four-way stop. You are have the right of way. You go. Someone hits you. Your fault.
Yep.
And then someone's like, well, why? And it's just you're there.
Yep.
You're choosing to be there, right? It's like if you can not be the victim in anything,
You're
you're
never the
going to be
victim.
so much stronger, right?
Yeah.
So people would come up to me, and I was reading this book, uh, and I was kind of like in a sensitive period, anyways. It was weird, but then they're like, "Hey, you don't really look like you're not acting like someone's mom who passed away." I was like, "That's cool that you think that. Also, fuck you for your judgment of what I should be like as this is happening."
Yeah,
But
like
yeah,
thanks for judging me on how I'm coping, fucker.
yeah.
Like
So
the
you're
fuck
saying I'm
wrong
doing a
with you?
really good job, but you're also telling me I'm not what you expect me to be.
So
Like,
fucked up. Like what,
it's the weirdest.
like you're like, I'm not meeting your expectations of how I'm grieving. Fuck
Yeah,
you.
right, right,
Like
right. I
fuck.
am too happy for you. Oh God. Yeah. But
Oh,
yeah, I haven't even asked you. This is awesome. This interview is crazy. It's so organic. I haven't asked you a question yet, really. So in your life, what have you said besides like kind of health and fitness right now? But what have you said fuck perfect to, and how did that like make it better?
you ready for this?
Yeah.
You'll love this because you know me. My marketing.
It's the best. That's the best thing to do.
My marketing. To anybody that's listening out there, when I started my dog training business, I was in a dry fit polo, and I was like, "Oh, all right, we're gonna talk about all this shit." Totally not me, right? Like
Right.
my parents are motorcyclists, like come from a rad family, like rock and roll, that's what we're all about. And once I gave up all that bullshit moniker and that bullshit like facade,
Mm-hmm.
and I just went back to my cut off Tupac shirts, like,
Hmm.
and went to clients on my motorcycle. People understood the authenticity behind that, and
Yeah.
people will relate to something that's perfectly imperfect and imperfectly perfect far more than something that's sugar coated and comes across as fake. It's so
Yeah.
so most of my competitors, they'll go to clients' houses with their iPads, and they'll like show like all,
Right.
they'll have like brochures and shit. And like
Yeah.
the first thing that I do when I go into a client's house, no matter how old they are, because people always like read the client. I'm like, fuck that. They're gonna like me for who the fuck I am. I walk in and I say, how the fuck are we doing? And they go, this guy's awesome. Let's have a seat and let's
Yeah.
talk. Because people
Yeah.
appreciate that nowadays.
Yeah, like I agree. I agree. People want maybe more candidness, and that's the idea of fuck perfect. And you can't even touch on something that I really, really dig is that it's you can say fuck perfect to your aspirations, but we ourselves are perfect already once
Nailed.
you embrace it, right? Like
Absolutely.
stop seeking it because it's you already are, right?
Absolutely.
I grew up with my mom who chased happiness constantly, like grass is always greener, you know, trying to find, and then she get the thing that was supposed to make her happy. And then she's like, okay, it's not working. Right. So like, I saw that and I got really obsessed with like, well, what is like, how does someone get happy? And then realizing that, oh, it's a choice
Absolutely.
because you could have someone in third world country have absolutely nothing that we have, all the blessings
You're
that we
so
have.
happy.
And they're like, they're fucking happy. And
You
you have
know,
like a billionaire who's like, no, I'm so depressed.
you know what? My mom and my dad both told me this, and they told me about a decade ago. And they said, happy, and it's a teaching from the Tao.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you shouldn't strive for happiness. You shouldn't strive for sadness. You should strive for contentment because
Mm-hmm.
that's sustainable. And it's funny because the science behind happiness shows cortisol. So when you're happy, your body is in a stressed out state. Like when you're joyous, your body is still in a stressed out state. You're still producing
Mm-hmm.
cortisol the exact same way as when you're just sad and stressed. But in a
Yeah.
content state, that's sustainable. When the pond isn't rocking and everything's smooth, like just thinking about that makes me relax. Like my body starts to have no tension in it.
Yeah.
So contentment not being an extreme form of a goal is far more achievable. So you're kind of setting the bar lower to achieve
Yeah.
it, and then happily accepting joy and happily accepting sadness at the same time because they're a part of it. It's really it's because they balance
Yeah.
each other
They
out.
balance each other out. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very crucial to actually appreciate both of those things
Absolutely.
while operating in a content state.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even like even the gratitude is part of that contentment. Like you could be grateful, you know, you don't have to be overly eccentric, bubbling for joy in every moment, and you just be at peace
Yeah,
and clear mind, and you know, because even happy thoughts like can obviously can be clutter in your mind if
absolutely.
right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Happy thoughts. You get in a new relationship, all of a sudden you start to neglect your business, right?
You know, it's interesting. I just saw a post that I've always thought about this too. Is I read this book called The Four Agreements, and it's
I
really
have it.
small. You have it?
It's sitting
Yeah.
on, it's sitting,
Okay. Right. So really small, great concepts. I think poorly written. Like the word,
like,
I was struggling. It's like I never read a book before. I'm like, what is this sentence? Like I'm reading this, um, but just the idea is like if you want to be like sort of impenetrable in who you are, you got to cut the dependency of people's judgment, which
yes,
is praise and criticism.
absolutely.
You can't be a praise whore and then be like, oh, I just don't want the negativity part.
Yeah.
Like,
That,
no, you're a judgment whore who only wants one side of it.
exactly. You're selfish and greedy and you're an egotistic motherfucker. You, like, you need to operate in that even keel. And
Yeah.
that even keel mode, steady, slow and steady wins the race. It
Right.
always goes back to the tortoise and the hare, right?
Right.
It's the most valuable lesson of all time. Aesop's fables, the tortoise and the fucking hare.
Yeah.
That slow and steady wins the race is the
You
most
could have
beautiful.
someone who has extreme talent or someone who has extreme like consistency and work ethic, say like Michael Jordan or LeBron James, just they show up, you know, like, oh, you just won, and then the next day you're doing free throws again. Yeah, why? Well, how do you think I got here? How do you think I fucking won? Right?
That's a fucking amazing amazing comparison there. And somebody that I've always looked up to was Kobe Bryant. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Kobe Bryant is my icon. He's my sports hero. And so rest in peace, Kobe. That man is the man. But anyway, the thing with Kobe was that he understood his shortcomings. And he understood that he didn't have the longest wingspan. He understood the flaws in his game and his physique. He wasn't the most naturally gifted basketball player. He didn't have the most explosiveness. But he
Mm-hmm.
worked around it through tireless work ethic by being the first in the gym and the last to leave the gym. And
Yeah.
that is how you need to be working if you're trying to achieve a goal. You need to be the first there and the last out. And
Right.
that's what I did in dog training. Is I'm the first motherfucker people think of in Austin, always, no matter what, because I grinded for the last 5 to 6 years to make sure that I was that person.
Yeah.
And I did that without SEO. I did that without fucking
Hmm.
advertising. I did it by word of mouth, free work, and getting my fucking boots dirty.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And I think to tag on what you said about Kobe Bryant, it's so many people these days are like, I need to be great in everything, in every area. Like,
Yeah.
well, if you spend 10, I don't know, 10 hours a week or maybe a month trying to improve the areas that you suck at to be average, imagine the 10 hours a week or 10 hours a month that you'd put in for the things that you're great at to become fucking exceptional.
To
Like,
be
you
to become
don't need to be
to
great
become
in everything.
no, to become exceptional at something,
Yeah.
right? Like that. It's so interesting that you bring that up because this year I realized that I have some genetic shortcomings in fitness, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so I was like, instead of working, I'm never going to be a size monster. So I was like, instead of working against my body and trying to be a beef monster, I should work with my genetics, get
Sure.
more get more mixy shreds. You can always get a little bigger, but make sure that like I'm working with my disadvantages as opposed to
Sure.
just blocking them out and letting them frustrate me.
So yeah, it's a good segue. And is that how you said kind of fuck perfect in an area for health and fitness? Like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
When because my idea of perfect in fitness is
yeah,
bodybuilding. So like it's Arnold. Like I
right.
look I
Well,
look at
yeah.
Arnold and I go, damn, that dude.
Hmm.
But even he had genetic shortcomings, right? He didn't have that small waist. He had a large waist, like that type of deal. So for me, it was like, okay, I have exceptionally long limbs. Like
Hmm.
I don't have a short range of motion. Like I'm going to have to work really fucking hard to get muscle.
I'm the same way. I have really long. It's so damn hard.
Yeah.
People say to me, what's funny? And not to interrupt you. People
No.
say to me, oh, before you had kids, man, this was easy for you to get in shape because you didn't have kids to rest up your schedule. After having kids, they're like, it's easy for you, man. You have kids to motivate you. I'm like, dude, pick one, pick one, right? Like, man, like you bust your ass. And granted, there is the in between period where I learned having kids can actually make you gain weight. Or my
Sure.
choices went downhill. But that's like, yep, now I get it. Now I see. I look where uh, how to get where I want to be, and
Yeah.
I can see that for so many other people. I'm like, man, there's so much confusion. Back to the pet shit. There's so much confusion out there. They
Oh
want you to
man.
be so confused to make money, to have doubts, and just to put the money in the product. I'm like, hey, I can take these people. I can say, hey, look at all this shit out there. I can help you figure out what's custom to your body,
Yeah, yeah,
basically by figuring out how you sleep, what's your energy like, what's your cravings. Uh, I don't say change your diet to this whole new thing that I just make for you. I'm like, okay, what are you eating now? Do you like it? Good. Try to add these things in there. Keep eating what you like within these kind of parameters. But let's keep building from there
yeah, yeah,
without changing their whole fucking lives. Because a lot of times people will crave foods because their body's actually telling them something aside from like junk food and chips and M&Ms. Like, but there might be something your body's telling you about that too. You
So
know,
that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And not to shove your dick down my throat.
hmm no
It's
problem.
it's brilliant. The fact that you go in and go, all right, you like what you're eating now? Cool. Maybe we take less of this, like
Hmm.
maybe less fat. We put in some sweet potatoes. I know you're a big fan of yams.
I
And
I gotta eat sweet potatoes for days. But yeah, like I'll say, okay, I'll look at their food profile. Like, okay, log your food for a couple of weeks. Don't even change anything. Well, first I tell people, if anyone's listening to this, this is what I tell everybody: drink your water every day, sleep 7 to 8 hours, and then walk for 10 minutes. If you can do that for 3 weeks, then I'll work with you. If you can't, we're not a good fit.
yeah.
Otherwise, I gave you free advice. That's amazing. So I had them log their food. That I don't want them to do anything else, and I can see what vitamins they're just not getting. I'm like, all right, Google that shit. Figure out what you're not getting. All right, now how do you feel? Like, I get their feelings under control, their sleep under control. You're feeling great, good. Let's lower the calories a little bit and see what happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Then they're like, oh my god, this is how you do it. Yes, and now you keep
Yeah.
learning. Now you're a scientist for your best health advocate. You're
Absolutely.
playing scientist. You say, oh, I'm gonna try this food now. Holy shit, I gained like this much weight this week. I'm like, oh, that might not be good for my body.
Yeah.
Because maybe you're retaining more as inflammation and all other shit that's going on.
Sure.
Great, take it out.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that fucking simple. And granted, and I even have a 3-month max now. I coach people for 3 months, and I'm like, you can't do it anymore. Because you should, everything I tell you, you should be future proof.
Yeah.
There's no fucking fad diet. And I actually got, I don't want to name any names, but any company names. I stopped building a business with a company I was affiliated with
I know that company.
because I'm muddying the waters. If I get people to be on my quote team to like help me build my business or whatever, I can't control them. And I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now I'm adding like 5, 10, 15 people out there who are spreading information. They're like, oh, I have the secrets. You need this. I'm like, you don't need that.
Right.
Like how can I help people? How can I help people effectively if they have to pay me this specific way, doing this specific product? Like,
It doesn't fucking work that way.
it doesn't need to be that. Like, sure, it can be that,
Sure.
but it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be that complicated. They don't
Sure.
need to do the workouts that I tell them to do. They can just go work out whatever the fuck they want to do. They can. It's like, oh man, you're not eating 5 servings of vegetables yet. Oh man, you're not perfect. Fuck you. Like,
right.
how about start with 1 extra serving of vegetables? Now, eventually 2. Because I didn't get to where I'm at on day 1 of doing my exercise program. I was like, hey, I'm eating brownies every week, motherfucker, and I didn't know anything about health and fitness. Anything.
Your before and after, like your journey, I mean, is so fucking impressive. Like, I mean,
Thank you, man. Thank you.
For those of you guys listening who haven't seen Jeff's before and after, I mean, he went from man tits to like chiseled. Like, I mean, like legit, like I think you overcame gynecomastia somehow. Like, I mean, like,
yeah, right.
like it. Like, I actually just looked at it again the other day when he asked me to be on the podcast. I was like, I gotta go see Jeff's progress. And I was like, man, this guy went from water balloon titties to like,
Yeah.
like cut up. Like, it's so fucking impressive. Like, people should fucking listen to you, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and I get thank you. I really appreciate that. It's been hard, but then like at the same time, like it's also been easy because the one thing I didn't want to do ever was actually track food or like weigh food. It just kind of did whatever I was taught before, and it wasn't working. So I'm like, fuck, I'll do the shit I don't want to do. I'll give it a go. And now, like, well, I have less dishes, which is amazing because I fucking hate dishes. So I can like just put everything in a bowl and like, whatever, you know. And it's not like I'm not tracking everything to like I'm not like making everything 100 grams and taking out things if it's not. So I'll just pour it in and see it. But yeah, like the idea is like I have competition who like at first I was like kind of partner with them, share ideas, and they'd say, oh, your ideas suck. That would be a terrible business thing. Then I see them copy it. Like, okay, we're not going to work together anymore. Now I see them copying me all the time.
yes,
And I get because I hate trends.
absolutely.
I think people who ride trends are just people who don't know who they are and they're really fake.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of times if a trend actually does like Instant Pot, I used to thought Instant Pot was like, oh, this is bullshit. No one needs a pressure cooker. I wait a couple of years. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. It's pretty good. It still survived the trend. So sometimes the wave, it does stay, right? But there's so much.
Air fryer. It's funny that you bring that up. Like the air fryer.
Oh yeah.
And a couple of years later, I was like, I'll get an air fryer, and I was like,
yeah,
this is amazing now.
amazing.
Like,
Yeah,
all about it.
and it's like crazy. It's just there's so much confusion and competition, and people want to make money. I get it, and they want the recurring thing. That's why I have like a 3-month max now. It's like I want to teach you how to fucking fish the rest of your life.
Yes.
Because I don't want you to need me. Because my whole goal is to not really help a huge width of people, but I want to be depth. If I help less people, but I get more depth out of it,
it's
so win.
You and I have a very similar business approach, right? So there's conflicting information about dog training. Mm-hmm. So dog training, the predominant conflicting information is, pure positive dog training, the people who don't believe in any punishment, and then what I do, where we believe in punishment and we're fucking effective. And the difference between the results is that the clients from the pure positive dog trainers remain clients for life. Mm-hmm. Nothing gets solved But
Right.
my clients, fuck, they'll call me if they're having trouble walking next to their stroller, right? Like,
Right.
and they go, hey, we did this training. Can you just come and fix it? You know, like what we did with you. I was like, yeah, I'll be over. I'll fucking come over. No big deal.
Yep.
And so we fixed it up. But the thing is that, and it's the same thing in fitness. And is it okay if I call some fitness guys out? Like,
Go for it.
okay, so Jim Stepani, right?
Yeah.
So let's take Jim. Jim is a supplement salesman. That's all he fucking is, right? He's
Yeah.
recurring fucking income. So you and I have a very, very similar approach, which is that the side effect of what we do can potentially be money. But we're both trying to put ourselves out of business by giving solutions to,
Right. Right.
so it's almost like a counterproductive marketing. It's almost we're hitting like the true market, right? It's like the
Right.
true market in dog training and in fitness is not to retain your clients.
Right.
The true market is to solve their issues.
Right.
And then in the future, they can refer you to other people.
Look, I had this conversation about a therapist. Therapist,
I
not
love
knocking, not a bunch of people,
I love
but there's great therapists. But some of them, I guess the stereotype could be that they're there to get you to keep coming for the recurring thing, and you find out you might have more problems than you started with. Some therapists don't focus on the result or solution that you're going for. They kind of focus on you finding more problems. And if you
Sure.
start looking for problems, you're going to find more. If you start looking for
Always.
solutions, you're going to find more. What's interesting you said about the talking about dog training, about positive and negative reinforcement, or just punishment. People have this whole weird thing fucked up with kids too. When I was a teacher, you learn about positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement, and positive reinforcement has nothing to do with actually being pleasant.
No.
Positive reinforcement is just adding something.
To,
Whether
to,
it's a negative or positive stimulus, you're just adding something extra. Negative's taking it away, right?
It's negative reinforcement is subtraction to
Yeah.
increase behavior. Positive reinforcement is addition to increase the behavior.
Yeah. And people don't get that. They think positive is happy, right? They think positive is like, oh, whatever. And it's funny because you have like this older group of
Let me just
people.
cut you off there real quick. It is the greatest single marketing dupe of all time, is that
Sure.
positive reinforcement means the good dog training, right? Positive
Sure.
dog training. All
Sure.
that it means, and let me just clarify for people. Reinforcement means to increase behavior. Punishment means to decrease behavior. Plus and minus is subtraction and addition by positive and negative. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's really simple. And if you think, with these I don't know 50-year-old people right now who are like, man, they're like harping on millennials, and I think I heard Gary Vee talk about this. He's like, you fucking raised them. You raised them. Like, you gave them the participation trophy. You gave them
That's genius.
the reward, the cheap way out, and then you're wondering now why they aren't doing something.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and I think it's a stereotypical millennial too, because I think what's come out of obviously millennials too as well is the option to not pursue a 9-to-5 desk job, right?
Wonderful.
That's an interesting concept.
And I think the boomer, I'll say boomer,
Sure.
like I think the boomer generation is almost a little jealous of that.
Absolutely.
Because what do we see a lot? And like, I'm like, just an example. I'm not saying my political affiliation here whatsoever, but like,
Sure.
we get a lot of people being like, student loan forgiveness. I paid off my student loans for 40 fucking years. And it's like, okay, like that's where the cards fell. Isn't that what you say all the time? Is that like, that's where your cards fell? So like, why are you pissed now all of a sudden? So like, while my viewpoints don't matter in this type of situation, I can see the hypocrisy in that viewpoint, right? Like they go, well, all of a sudden everybody gets Medicare. Well, I've been paying Medicare for 60 years. And it's like, that you're kind of missing the point. Like,
imagine this. Imagine like, some guy saying, oh, when I was a kid, my brother died because there were no seatbelts. What, everyone gets a seatbelt now? Like, well, yeah, I think we've learned. I think we've learned something.
Great analogy.
Like shit, we get better? And that's the other thing too. People are always holding these expectations of like what they did in the past, right?
Seatbelt is so good, dude.
How can we not focus on getting better? Like, of course,
right.
We need to improve, right?
Fucking somebody I love died and didn't have a seatbelt, and now all cars have seatbelts. It's bullshit.
I'm gonna go and take them all out.
It's so fucking. It's such a great analogy. Like like that needs to be on a shirt and needs to be like a groovyism is what it needs to
We'll
be.
talk. Well, I'll somehow make dog trainers and talks kids and I don't know, seatbelt death or something like that.
Real dark, real dark.
Yeah, it's got dark fast. But so what do you got going on now, Jonas? What's coming up for you?
All right, so we've got all kinds of cool shit in the works. I'm working on a partnership with Harley Davidson right now to go from dealership to dealership on my Harley Davidson and do dog training seminars there.
Wow, sick.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
This is why other dog trainers hate me, because I have a way cooler vision of what the industry should be than what their narrow minds allow them to think. You know, for them, they think it's all about dogs. For me, it's about educating the general public. And how do we educate?
Yep.
And how do we educate the general public? We have to make it cool. We have to make it cool. It can't be this like nerdy fucking industry anymore. So like, we've got the Harley deal coming up. I'm going on tour with a bunch of Epitaph bands in the fall around the presidential debates to speak to politicians and to educate people about balanced dog training. What else? I'm expanding the company this year into 3 more cities, which is really, really exciting. And just basically being a fucking rabble rouser. And I mean, you've seen me grow, you know, from I mean, almost the inception of this. So it's just been an incredible journey. I'm so humbled from it, but it all was inspired from the first time I picked up a fucking dumbbell. And that's something that I always give credit to. So you said something earlier about parenting where you're going to get blasted. I'll say something where I think I'll probably get blasted. I don't think you can be a really good dog trainer if you're obese. I just don't think that that's a possibility. I think that you need to practice what you preach, train yourself before you should even think about training another human being or another being, or human being for a personal trainer at that point, right? So it's one of those things where, like, if you don't know the concept of training and what it feels like, you shouldn't have an opinion on it, because training in itself is a punitive. Training is punitive, whether it's fitness or dog training, because we're changing something. So if you don't know what it's like to go through discomfort in order to become better, you have no business training anything.
It's so wild you brought that up. I've thought about this, but I like how you said it. So you go to a dentist, you probably want them to have really good fucking teeth. You go to a nutritionist, you probably want them to not be overweight, and a lot of times they are.
Yep.
You go to a heart doctor, you probably want them to do things like that support having a good heart, right?
Right.
You don't go to places that don't practice what they preach. Because if they don't do it, that means they don't believe in it.
Exactly. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to take someone seriously that clearly never walks their dog? You know, like, you don't look like you walk your dog. Like, I don't think you walk your dog and give your dog the things that the dog needs. I'm not going to take that person seriously. No matter how many YouTube videos they put up, no matter how many Facebook lives they have, if you look at a lot of my social media, it's either me walking a dog, working with a dog, me in the gym. I mean, that's what my social media is. It's dogs and fitness. That's all it is these days.
Winning combination.
It's a winning combination, and it's a very, very, in my opinion, and it's 2 inspiring subjects, because everyone loves dogs, but in order to truly love something else, you have to love yourself. So for me, it started in the gym. 5 years ago, hating myself because I could barely bench press 25-pound dumbbells. And today, it's funny that we're having this podcast today. For the first time, I got the guts to do the 100-pound dumbbells, and I repped it out for 12. And
nice work.
And I mean, I was grunting and screaming at Gold's Gym like a total meathead. And I dropped the weights at the end of it. But I'll tell you one thing, when I got off that bench and my chest was trembling, I was like, I just accomplished something. Like, because I haven't felt that since I first started training, was that chest tremble. So, you know, in 5 years, you go up 75 pounds in each hand on that bench, on that dumbbell bench. And if anybody knows it, dumbbell bench is harder than fucking regular
Oh
barbell.
yeah, it absolutely. Yep,
It's
individual stability and everything.
even just the setup for it, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Some people can't get to. I can't. I don't think I can get to. I haven't tried, to be honest. I'll give it a go, but we'll see. But like, even you know, with me when I like 3 years ago, I had some sort of massive like neurological like back thing going on. Maybe 4 years ago now. Um, I couldn't I couldn't lift 5-10 pounds. I couldn't hold it without the pain just like surging through my back. It was just like a fiery pain. Doctors had no idea what was going on. They thought it was a back issue. But I just kept trying different things like acupuncture, cupping, eating different foods, and just, like kind of like going through anything I could possibly find. Cause I'm like, I'm not willing to settle for this. And I remember having a feeling like you were talking about, like, whoa, I can pick up 10 pounds again. I can pick up 15. I can pick up 20, 50, 40, like
yeah,
60, 70. And it's like every time I pick up a heavy weight, I'm like, I'm grateful for it. And before the injury, like I wasn't. I was like, I just, took it for granted, of course. But it's like, yes, like I fucking did it. I could have accepted the whatever the change was in my body that happened. Who knows, freak something. But I couldn't for 5 to 8 months, and then nothing.
yeah.
And I said, oh well, what can I do? I
I
can
can't even
do.
I can't even imagine that, Jeff. That would drive me fucking crazy because it's such a big part of my life. Like,
Yeah,
to all of a sudden get that injury and then I couldn't do what I'm doing right now.
yeah.
I would have to supplement with something.
I
You know,
couldn't hold I couldn't hold Joey when he was a baby because it's like this. I can't really show you. It's like this motion. Like nothing here would work. And it was just like boom, fire. Like just, and it's like and so it was tough. I'm like, what can I do? I guess I'm doing yoga. I guess I'm becoming a yoga dude now. And then I
yeah,
learned about how I could do that, and I couldn't hold all the poses a lot, but I did as best I could. And then after so much time, I say whatever I was doing was working. And
yoga's
then in retrospect, the doctors were like, "Oh, you did have this neurological thing. Now we know because we." It's like, good thing you did that because you could have been fucking paralyzed. Like,
dude. You're like, oh good.
wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's why it's important to be your best health advocate. And that's why I'm trying to, like you said, educate people to just to be informed. Like if they want to eat food, like junk food or whatever, fine, but be informative what that is, right? A lot of
Absolutely.
times you see fitness celebrities, including myself. I'm not really a fitness celebrity. Most of the time when I get excited about food that I make posts about, it is like cheat food.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about it. So it looks like I always think about this. Like, man, people that follow me must think I only eat junk food. Sometimes my stories, I show what I usually eat, but my poster is like, donuts. Like, you know. Um, but anyways, thank you so much, Jonas, for being on the podcast. It's been
Yeah, of
super
course, dude.
awesome catching up.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, I love the shit out of you. Anytime like you need like an emergency guest or something, just hit me up. We'll shoot the shit anytime.
That'll be fucking sick. That's gonna be awesome. And if people want to contact you, I want to put your information in the show notes and the YouTube video too. Okay.
Appreciate it. It's www.omgthisdog.com. And my Instagram is jonas.black. And keep an eye out for a really cool podcast that I'm launching with my best dog training friend in the world. His name is Danny Wells. It'll be called Blackwell's Canine Club. And it's going to be something unlike any the dog training world has ever seen. It's going to be a bunch of rowdiness and a lot of fun and just a non-complicated approach to dog training from two guys who are just going to shoot straight from the hip. So it's really cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Jonas.
I appreciate you, sir.
Yeah. Take care.